What if the silence we hear in the cosmos isn't just emptiness, but a chilling warning? Humanity looks to the stars and wonders where everyone is, but perhaps the terrifying truth is that we might be better off not knowing the answer, because every possible solution to this cosmic enigma ends in isolation, quarantine, or complete annihilation. Our journey begins with number 10, the mathematical nightmare of the Drake equation. In 1961, at the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia, astrophysicist Frank Drake penned a seemingly simple mathematical formula on a chalkboard. It wasn't intended as a terrifying revelation, merely an agenda for a scientific meeting. Yet, the Drake equation, as it became known, accidentally unlocked the most profound existential horror of our modern age. This equation calculates the number of active, communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. It multiplies the rate of star formation, the fraction of those stars with planets, the number of planets that could support life, the fraction that actually develop life, the fraction that become intelligent, the fraction that develop transmitting technology, and the length of time they broadcast their signals into space. When we input our most conservative modern astronomical data, the numbers become staggering. We now know there are between 100 billion and 400 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. Thanks to the Kepler Space Telescope, we know that virtually every single one of those stars hosts at least one planet. We estimate that tens of billions of Earth-sized planets orbit within the habitable zones of their host stars, just in our own galaxy. Even if you assume that life is a freak accident, even if you assume that intelligence is an incredibly rare evolutionary fluke, the sheer mathematical weight of the universe overpowers the improbability. The math insists, with cold, hard statistical certainty, that we should not be alone. In fact, it dictates that the Milky Way should be teeming with thousands, if not millions, of advanced civilizations right now. We should be detecting their radio waves washing over our planet. We should be detecting the infrared waste heat of their stellar engineering projects. We should be picking up the stray communications of a bustling galactic empire. But we look up, and there is absolutely nothing. The Drake equation is terrifying because the math works. The variables are sound. The probability overwhelmingly favors a crowded universe. And yet, the reality we observe is a dead, empty void. This profound contradiction, the mathematically crowded universe versus the observably empty one, is the core of the Fermi Paradox, and it suggests that something fundamental and potentially fatal is missing from our understanding of reality. Moving to number 9, we confront the problem of deep time. Human beings are terrible at comprehending geological time, let alone cosmic time. Our entire recorded history spans roughly 5,000 years. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. The Milky Way galaxy is nearly as ancient, forming about 13.6 billion years ago. Earth, however, is a relatively late arrival, forming just 4.5 billion years ago. This timeline is the second piece of the Fermi Paradox nightmare. Because the universe is so incredibly ancient, there has been more than enough time for millions of civilizations to rise, flourish, and expand before our solar system was even a cloud of dust. Imagine a hypothetical alien species that achieved our current level of technology just 10 million years ago. In the grand scope of the universe's history, 10 million years is a mere fraction of a blink of an eye. If they began expanding to neighboring stars at just 1% of the speed of light, a technological feat we can almost conceptualize today using fusion drives or solar sails, they would establish colonies. Those colonies would take a few centuries to industrialize, and then they would launch their own ships. This wave of colonization would spread outward like a ripple in a pond. Astrophysicists have calculated that even at this incredibly slow, sublight speed, a single civilization could completely colonize the entire Milky Way galaxy in roughly 2 to 50 million years. Let that sink in. The galaxy is 100,000 light-years across. It could be thoroughly conquered, settled, and industrialized in just a few million years. And the universe has had over 10 billion years to produce a civilization capable of doing this. There should have been overlapping waves of galactic empires. Our solar system should have been claimed, strip-mined, or settled billions of years before the first single-celled organism twitched in Earth's primordial oceans. We shouldn't be looking for faint radio signals from distant stars. We should be digging up their ancient trash in our own backyards. The fact that Earth was left completely untouched for 4.5 billion years defies all logic of expansion and deep time. It implies that in 13.8 billion years, no one, anywhere, has ever managed to build a lasting galactic footprint. The terrifying question isn't just, where is everyone? It's what kept them from coming here. Next, at number 8, we find that life's common ingredients are everywhere. For a long time, humanity comforted itself with the rare Earth hypothesis. The idea was that Earth was a miraculous cosmic lottery ticket. We had the exact right distance from the sun, the perfect chemical makeup, a uniquely protective magnetic field, and a massive moon to stabilize our orbit. We thought life required a nearly impossible alchemy of rare elements and perfect conditions. We thought we were the universe's singular, impossible masterpiece. Modern astrophysics has violently destroyed that comfort. As we've looked out into the cosmos with better instruments, we've discovered that the building blocks of life aren't rare at all. They are aggressively ubiquitous. They are scattered across the void like dust. We have found complex organic molecules, including amino acids, the fundamental proteins of biology, inside meteorites that crash to Earth. We have detected massive clouds of ethyl alcohol and complex sugars floating in the empty spaces between stars. We've discovered that the universe is soaked in water. We used to think liquid water was exclusive to Earth. Now, we know there is more liquid water sloshing around under the ice of Jupiter's moon Europa than in all of Earth's oceans combined. Enceladus, a tiny moon of Saturn, is firing geysers of salt water and organic compounds directly into space. Titan has lakes of liquid methane and a thick, nitrogen-rich atmosphere. We've even found potential biosignatures like phosphine gas in the toxic clouds of Venus. The chemistry required for life isn't a miraculous localized event. It is the standard operating procedure of the cosmos. The universe is literally wired to create the components of biology. If the ingredients are everywhere and the spark of life is a natural consequence of chemistry, then the universe should be a biological jungle. The transition from dead matter to living organisms should have happened billions of times on billions of worlds. The fact that the ingredients are everywhere makes the silence infinitely more deafening. If it's so easy for the universe to build the foundations of life, why hasn't it produced anything loud enough for us to hear? It suggests that sparking life isn't the hard part. The hard part is what comes after. This brings us to number 7, the von Neumann paradox. In the mid-20th century, the brilliant mathematician John von Neumann conceptualized a machine capable of replicating itself using raw materials found in its environment. When you apply this concept to space exploration, it creates an inescapable trap for the Fermi Paradox. A von Neumann probe is an autonomous spacecraft programmed with a simple set of instructions. Travel to a neighboring star system, mine the local asteroids or dead planets for raw materials, build a replica of yourself, and then both of you move on to the next stars. The mathematics of exponential growth make von Neumann probes the ultimate galactic colonization tool. One probe becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8. Within a relatively short time, you have millions, then billions, of autonomous machines fanning out across the galaxy. They don't require life support, they don't need to return home, and they can wait out the centuries it takes to travel between stars. Even at a fraction of the speed of light, a single civilization could launch one von Neumann probe and effectively explore, map, and monitor every single star in the Milky Way in less than 4 million years. This is where the terror sets in. If even one intelligent civilization ever existed in the history of the galaxy, and if they reached a technological level just a few centuries ahead of where we are now, they could have, and likely would have, launched self-replicating probes. By now, our solar system should be swarming with them. We should see them mining the asteroid belt. We should catch their signals as they communicate with the swarm. We should see the physical evidence of their passing. The absence of von Neumann probes in our solar system is a brutal piece of evidence. It doesn't just suggest that civilizations are rare. It suggests that in the entire multi-billion-year history of the Milky Way, not a single civilization has ever survived long enough to build and launch a successful self-replicating machine. The threshold for failure must be absolute. At number 6, we encounter the deafening silence of SETI. Since 1960, humanity has been actively listening. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, has spent over 6 decades pointing the most sensitive radio telescopes ever constructed at the stars. We have scanned millions of frequencies. We have listened to individual star systems, and we have done sweeping surveys of the galactic plane. We upgraded from listening for simple radio broadcasts to looking for optical laser flashes. We started looking for Dyson spheres, massive alien megastructures built around stars to harvest their energy. By searching for unexplained dips in starlight and excessive infrared radiation, we have thrown the full weight of human technological ingenuity into simply detecting a whisper in the dark. And the result has been profound, absolute, terrifying silence. There was the WOW signal in 1977, a brief, powerful burst of radio energy that looked exactly like what we'd expect an alien transmission to be, but it never repeated. We stared at that patch of sky for decades and heard nothing but the static of the cosmos. This silence is unnatural. Human beings have been leaking radio waves into space for a century. A sphere of our television broadcasts, radar signals, and radio chatter is expanding outward at the speed of light, currently spanning 200 light-years across. If we are this noisy after just 100 years of technological capability, imagine a civilization 1,000 years older than us. Imagine one 1,000,000 years older. They wouldn't just be leaking signals, they would be actively communicating across interstellar distances. They would be manipulating their environment on a scale that would be visible across the galaxy. The fact that we have looked with increasingly powerful tools and found absolutely zero evidence of artificiality means one of two things. Either we are fundamentally misunderstanding how advanced physics and communication work, or there simply isn't anyone out there broadcasting. We are standing on the edge of a cosmic canyon, screaming into the void, and not even an echo is coming back. This leads us to number 5, the zoo hypothesis. What if the silence is not a result of absence, but a result of quarantine? Proposed by radio astronomer John Ball in 1973, the zoo hypothesis offers an explanation for the Fermi Paradox that is deeply unnerving because it strips humanity of all its agency. The theory suggests that highly advanced extraterrestrial civilizations do exist, and they are fully aware of Earth and human development. However, they have universally agreed to intentionally avoid any interaction with us. We are not alone. We are isolated. Earth is essentially a cosmic nature preserve, a planetary zoo where an alien intelligence is watching us evolve behind invisible bars. The reasons for this could range from scientific curiosity to strict non-interference directives, much like the Prime Directive in Star Trek. They might be waiting for us to reach a specific technological or social milestone, like discovering faster-than-light travel or proving we won't destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons, before they reveal themselves. The terror of the zoo hypothesis lies in the power dynamic. If this theory is true, it means there is an intelligence out there so vastly superior to ours that they can monitor our entire planet without us detecting a single trace of their presence. They have achieved perfect stealth. They can mask their communications, hide their observation posts, and enforce a galactic quarantine zone around our solar system. We are completely at their mercy. Our entire history, our wars, our struggles, our technological triumphs, all of it is just an exhibit for something incomprehensible lurking in the dark. It means we are not the masters of our own destiny. We are specimens, and we have no idea what the zookeepers will do when the experiment is over. If the zoo hypothesis makes you a specimen, then number 4, the dark forest theory, makes you prey. Popularized by Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin, this theory provides a chilling game theory explanation for the Fermi Paradox. It assumes 2 fundamental axioms. First, the primary goal of every civilization is survival. Second, civilizations constantly grow and expand, but the resources in the universe are finite. When you combine these axioms with the vast distances of space, you create a chain of suspicion that inevitably leads to violence. If we detect an alien civilization, we cannot possibly know their true intentions. Even if they seem peaceful now, A technological explosion could make them a catastrophic threat in a few centuries. Because communication across light years is incredibly slow, you can never establish trust. The stakes are total annihilation. Therefore, the only logical, rational move for any advanced civilization upon discovering another is to immediately launch a preemptive strike and destroy them. The universe is not an empty void, it is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost. They are holding their breath, masking their thermal signatures, and listening for the slightest sound. If a civilization is foolish enough to make a noise, to build a megastructure, to broadcast a radio greeting, to light a fire in the dark forest, they are instantly targeted and wiped out by weapons moving at relativistic speeds. And here is the terrifying part. Humanity has been actively blasting our location into the dark forest for the last century. We have been shouting into the trees, completely unaware of the hunters waiting in the shadows. We might just be waiting for the strike to arrive. Taking the dark forest theory to its ultimate automated conclusion brings us to number 3, Berserker probes and the cosmic exterminators. Named after a series of science fiction stories by Fred Saberhagen, this theory suggests that millions or billions of years ago, a highly advanced paranoid civilization decided they didn't want to risk being destroyed by a rising competitor. Instead of hiding, they built autonomous, self-replicating artificial intelligence platforms, killing machines, and unleashed them into the galaxy. These berserker probes have only one core directive: seek out biological life and eradicate it. The civilization that built them might be long dead, turned to dust billions of years ago, but their weapons are still out there, tirelessly executing their ancient programming. They lie dormant in the outer edges of star systems, powered down, waiting. They wait for a planet's atmosphere to show the chemical signatures of industrialization. They wait for the telltale leak of artificial radio waves. The moment a young civilization breaches a certain threshold of technology, the probes wake up, replicate, and descend upon the planet, systematically sterilizing the biosphere from orbit. This would perfectly explain the Fermi Paradox. The universe is empty because an automated pest control system is keeping it empty. The silence is artificial. Every time a civilization rises and gets loud enough to be noticed, the exterminators arrive and reset the clock. What makes the berserker hypothesis truly horrifying is that it means the barrier to our survival isn't something we can negotiate with. You cannot reason with a multi-million-year-old piece of software whose only function is genocide. If berserker probes exist, our continued survival isn't a testament to our greatness. It simply means our radio signals haven't reached them yet. We are living on borrowed time, and the exterminators are already on their way. Number 2 presents us with the great filter, lying ahead. In 1996, economist Robin Hanson proposed a concept to explain the Fermi Paradox that remains the most logically sound and deeply terrifying theory we have: the great filter. Hanson reasoned that the path from a dead rock to a galaxy-spanning civilization involves a series of evolutionary and technological steps. Life must emerge from non-life. Single-celled organisms must become multicellular. Brains must evolve. tool use must develop, civilization must form. And finally, that civilization must master interstellar travel. Because we see zero evidence of interstellar civilizations, Hansen argued that at least one of these steps must be incredibly, almost impossibly difficult. There is a filter in the evolutionary timeline that acts as an impassable wall, wiping out almost every species that hits it. The terrifying question is not whether the Great Filter exists, but where it is located on our timeline. If the Great Filter is behind us, we have won the ultimate cosmic lottery. Perhaps the jump from single-celled life to complex animals is a freak occurrence that only happened on Earth. If we've already passed the filter, the universe is empty, but our future is wide open. We are the first. But what if the Great Filter is in front of us? What if creating life, evolving intelligence, and building a global industrial civilization is actually the easy part? What if every civilization reaches our exact current level of technology and then hits the wall? The filter could be nuclear annihilation, artificial intelligence escaping our control, genetically engineered bioweapons, or catastrophic climate collapse. If the Great Filter is ahead of us, it means the silence of the universe is the silence of a graveyard. It means every civilization that has ever existed in the Milky Way has destroyed itself before leaving its star system. And it means humanity is not special. We are just standing on the conveyor belt, moving predictably toward our own inevitable extinction. This brings us to number 1, the Martian death sentence. This is the most counterintuitive, horrifying realization in modern science. For decades, humanity has been desperately searching for microbial life on Mars. We send rovers to drill into the rocks. We analyze the ancient, dried-up riverbeds, hoping to find just a single fossilized bacterium. We think that finding life on Mars would be the greatest scientific discovery in human history. Philosopher Nick Bostrom has pointed out that finding life on Mars would actually be the worst possible news for the human race. It would be a death sentence. Here is why. If we find independent life on Mars, it completely eliminates the possibility that the Great Filter is behind us. Mars and Earth are next-door neighbors in a vast cosmic ocean. If life sparked into existence independently, on 2 adjacent rocks orbiting the same unexceptional star, it means the genesis of life is incredibly common. It means life is cheap. It means the universe is constantly generating biology. If the transition from dead matter to living cells is easy, and the transition from simple cells to complex animals is easy, then the Great Filter cannot be in the past. The barrier that prevents civilizations from colonizing the galaxy must exist after the point where life forms, and likely after the point where a civilization reaches our level of development. If we find so much as a dead microbe under the Martian dirt, it tells us that the universe is highly efficient at creating life, but utterly ruthless at exterminating it before it can spread to the stars. The more complex the life we find on Mars, the worse the news is. If we find simple bacteria, the filter might be the jump to complex animals. But if we find the ruins of a complex organism, it pushes the Great Filter right up against our current timeline. Finding life on Mars would be the ultimate proof that our destruction is waiting just around the corner, guaranteeing that humanity will be swallowed by the same cosmic silence that consumed everyone else. We are either a freak accident in a dead universe, or we are the next target in a very crowded, very hostile one. Keep your eyes on the sky, but maybe, just maybe, we should stop shouting into the dark.